In Ras Baalbek, Crucifixes share walls with Hezbollah, a battlefield pact where Hezbollah spilt their blood and the Pope only has prayers. Faith bends, survival speaks. As war redraws loyalties, one question echoes: when protection replaces belief, who truly holds the allegiance of the living? In eastern Lebanon, a rare and complex alliance is reshaping traditional fault lines. In the Christian town of Ras Baalbek, near the Syrian border, local Catholic residents have aligned with Hezbollah and backed the force in a bid to defend their community and preserve their heritage. According to The Telegraph, the town of roughly 6,000 devout Catholics has developed unusually close ties with Hezbollah, forged during years of conflict spilling over from neighbouring Syria. The relationship is both symbolic and strategic. Hezbollah is said to provide security assurances and even participates in local traditions, including purchasing a Christmas tree for the village each year. At the heart of this alignment lies a shared history of survival. Between 2013 and 2017, during the height of the Syrian civil war, fighters from Islamic State launched repeated assaults from the nearby Kalamoon Mountains, threatening to overrun Ras Baalbek and target its Christian population. Local leaders say it was Hezbollah's intervention that prevented the town's collapse.
The relationship between the village and Hezbollah is stronger than with the Pope. The Vatican did nothing for us, but Hezbollah spilt their blood to protect us. The Pope only has prayers.
On the ground, the contradictions are visible. In homes across the town, crucifixes hang alongside portraits of Hassan Nasrallah, reflecting a pragmatic coexistence shaped by conflict rather than ideology. Yet, this fragile alignment exists within a broader national tension. The Lebanese armed forces, whose political leadership has pledged to disarm Hezbollah, remain present in the area, highlighting the competing visions for Lebanon's security architecture. Meanwhile, the region remains volatile. Israeli airstrikes continue to target Hezbollah positions in the surrounding hills, even as the group reportedly launches long-range missiles toward Israel, further escalating cross-border hostilities. In the Bekaa Valley, a patchwork of Christian, Sunni, and Shia communities, survival has blurred sectarian divides. What emerges is not ideological alignment, but a battlefield compact, one forged under existential threat and sustained by the realities of war. Israeli President Isaac Herzog was still wrapping up a visit to the northern border town of Kiryat Shmona when a Hezbollah rocket struck a hilltop above the town. Reporters and security officers ran for shelter as explosions rang out and smoke rose over the hillside. Herzog was unhurt, but the message was hard to miss. The town has been a frequent target of rocket fire since Lebanon was pulled into the wider regional war on March 2nd, when Hezbollah fired missiles into Israel. Since then, Israel has ordered all residents south of the Litani River to evacuate. As it pounds the area with airstrikes it describes as targeting Hezbollah infrastructure. Herzog had gone to Kiryat Shmona to meet with the mayor and local officials. During that meeting, he was unambiguous about Israel's intentions in Lebanon.
This campaign is critical. It is clear to all of us that we can't go back to the same ceasefire situation from a year ago because we must make sure that there's a strategic depth inside Lebanon, that there's what they call a buffer, a clear division, as well as to bring a geostrategic change that is part of a diplomatic negotiation in regard to Lebanon.
Minutes after this statement, the skies rained fire. It was not the first time this month that Herzog has found himself at the scene of an attack. On March 22nd, he visited Dimona in southern Israel after an Iranian missile struck a hostel for people with special needs the night before, damaging the surrounding neighborhood and wounding 34 people, including a 12-year-old boy. No one was killed, which Herzog credited to residents following shelter instructions in time. Herzog has also laid out what he sees as the war's endgame: saying it would be over only when Iran can no longer pursue nuclear weapons or maintain its ballistic missile capabilities. Israel's finance minister, on the other hand, has called for extending the country's border with Lebanon all the way to the Litani River, a position that would mark a dramatic and permanent redrawing of the region's map. Meanwhile, according to Al Jazeera, an Israeli attack has hit a petrol station in southern Lebanon, near the Rashidiyeh camp for Palestinian refugees, triggering a huge explosion and fire. The Israeli army had issued forced displacement orders to residents.
Iran is pursuing a new strategy, not of outright destruction, but of dismemberment. The goal has been to blind the enemy, to sever its nerves, to cut off its ability to see, to think, to strike back. On March 22nd, an Iranian proxy group calling itself the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, operating under the faction Ashab al-Kaf, claimed responsibility for a drone strike on what it described as an alternative Mossad espionage headquarters in Erbil, the capital of Iraq's semi-autonomous Kurdish region.
We claim responsibility for targeting an alternative Mossad espionage headquarters in Erbil, northern Iraq, via drones on March 22nd of 2026. We affirm that our operations are continuing at an escalating pace, and we direct civilians to stay away from the locations where the American occupation and treacherous collaborators are present.
This was not the first time Erbil found itself in the crosshairs. Earlier, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps ground forces said they had destroyed surveillance and eavesdropping radars in the Korek area of Erbil province, radars which Tehran alleged were operated by Mossad. That strike signaled something that analysts have been watching quietly for months. Northern Iraq, and specifically the Kurdish north, has become a front line in a shadow conflict that neither side fully acknowledges in public. The IRGC said it had taken out equipment being used to spy on Iran. The Kurds, caught in the middle, are left to navigate the consequences. But behind these operations lies a deeper assumption driving the conflict itself, an assumption about what would happen inside Iran once the pressure began to mount. 3 weeks into the war between the United States, Israel and Iran, the grand theory behind the conflict that Iran's people would rise up, take to the streets, and topple their own government has not played out. And the cracks in that plan were visible long before the first bomb fell. Before the war began, the head of Mossad, David Barnea, went to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with a pitch. Within days of the fighting starting, Barnea told him Mossad would likely be able to galvanize the Iranian opposition, igniting riots and acts of rebellion that could even bring down the government in Tehran. Barnea also took that argument to senior Trump administration officials in Washington in mid-January. Netanyahu adopted the plan. President Trump appeared convinced. And at the very start of the war, Trump addressed the Iranian people directly with a promise that sounded at the time almost like an invitation.
Take over your government. It will be yours to take.
But the uprising has not come. American and Israeli intelligence assessments have concluded that Iran's government is weakened, but it is still standing. And more critically, it has dug in. The New York Times reported that many senior figures inside the US government never believed in the plan to begin with. Military leaders told Trump plainly that Iranians would not come out to protest while bombs were falling on their cities.
A lot of protesters are not coming into the street because they'll get shot. They're going to get slaughtered. That's one thing. But the second thing is that there's a good chunk of people who just want a better life. And they're just sidelined right now. They don't like the regime, but they don't want to die opposing it.
By March 12th, even Trump had begun to shift his language, acknowledging that Iran had security forces in the streets machine gunning people down if they want to protest. One part of Mossad's strategy involved supporting armed Iranian Kurdish militia groups based in northern Iraq, groups with whom Israel has long-standing ties. But that idea ran into resistance from Washington too. On March 7th, Trump told reporters directly,
I don't want the Kurds going in. I don't want to see the Kurds get hurt, get killed.
This ambition of fomenting rebellion inside Iran is not new. Mossad's previous director, Yossi Cohen, who led the agency until 2021, had studied the numbers carefully and quietly shut down those efforts years ago.
We wondered if we could bridge this gap, and we came to the conclusion that we couldn't.
His successor Barnier reversed that thinking. He bet that airstrikes and assassinations could create the conditions for a collapse from within. So far, that bet has not paid off. Netanyahu, for his part, is not conceding the point publicly. At a news conference last Thursday, he said,
"You can't do revolutions from the air. There has to be a ground component as well."
Israel's ambassador to the United States, Yechiel Leiter, speaking on CNN on Sunday, insisted the ground component is still coming, just not from where people might expect.
I think that we need boots on the ground, but they've got to be Iranian boots.
Whether they are is the question that this war now hinges on.
Three Iranian men were hanged for killing 2 police officers during protests in the holy city of Qom, executed, the state said, on orders from Israel and the United States. Mehdi Ghassemi, Saleh Mohammadi, and Saeed Davoudi were convicted of attacking officers with knives and swords during demonstrations on January 8th. Tehran accused them of acting as foreign agents. A Swedish-Iranian man, Kurosh Kivani, was hanged on March 18th on espionage charges. Stockholm confirmed the execution, saying the proceedings fell short of basic due process. The hangings come as Iran's security forces face pressure from 2 directions at once, from the streets and from the sky. A war is not only played on the battlefield, but also in the minds of your enemies, and who understands it better than Israel? According to a recording obtained by the Wall Street Journal, Mossad agents have been ringing Iranian police commanders in Farsi, telling them they are being watched, that they are on lists, and that their fate may already be sealed. In one exchange, an agent warned a senior officer,
"We know everything about you. You are on our blacklist and we have all the information about you. I called to warn you in advance. You should stand with your people's side. If you do not do that, your destiny will be as your leader."
The commander's reply told its own story.
"I'm a dead man already. Just please come help us."
The calls are part of a broader Israeli effort to hollow out Iran's internal security machine, the Basij Militia, the Revolutionary Guard's domestic units, and the special police forces that have long been the regime's instrument of control over its own population. On the ground, the Israeli Air Force has been methodically dismantling what remains. Checkpoints, warehouses, motorcycle units, the same units used for years to crush protests, have all been targeted. On one night alone, 11 checkpoints were struck across Tehran. Residents say police have been spotted sleeping in tents and buses, sheltering in schools, and warning shopkeepers to shut before dark because they can no longer guarantee safety on the streets. Israeli and American bombs keep falling on Iran, and the Islamic Republic has been forced to fight battles within its own home. But as they say, everything is fair in love and war.